When the pressure is high and the energy low, that's when your business needs inspiration to change and to grow. It's also when true captains show up. Hi, I'm Mark Francis, and I'm the host of this podcast that invites industry leaders from all over the world to answer the question, who's your captain? When you need to motivate and to mobilize, to develop and enable your team. Whether you are new to being a leader or you aspire to be a captain, this podcast is for you. So I'm super excited to welcome today Victor Mraz, who is the COO of a brilliant business called Diverse Logistics. Hi, Victor.
How are you today?
Yeah, I'm excited because what you do so brilliantly is completely not what I've ever done in a business. You have expertise in an area I have no experience, let alone expertise. So it's going to be fascinating for me to bring to life for everyone what a chief operating officer does in a business as busy and complex as yours, a logistics business, the final mile delivery of big goods, diverse goods, high value goods to multiple different customers. So I'm just fascinated to spend some time with you, Victor, and big thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Now, first question has to be, I follow your business and you're in lovely growth, which takes an awful lot to continue to grow as a business. What are you most proud of? So for 4 years, you've been head of a lot of elements of the business, running the logistics team, but also risk management, back office, goodness knows what else. What are you most proud of in that period of sustained growth?
I think if I had to single point one thing, it'd really be the team that we've built. The development, taking resources from internal resources, bringing in talent from the outside, really developing not only the operations team, but also, our finance team and our compliance team and, our risk management team. It's really through a lot of partnerships, a lot of sweat equity, a lot of therapy sessions, if you will. Uh, we've really developed a very, very strong core team of folks that have bought in, and that's uh, appears and shows up everywhere throughout our culture, and really is the reason why we're able to grow. Um, Plain and simple, the development of the people. That's really where we have to go to.
I'm going to probe that quite a lot as we go through this discussion, because that is, as the business grows in terms of number of customers and number of states that you work in and your revenue, you also, of course, have to increase resources. So this point about gather the team and grow the team is pretty fundamental. What would you say for people who know nothing about managing such a big logistics business? What are the main elements of the role that you do? And I know you've got an incredibly diverse role, but what would you say the main elements of the role?
In my role, really, it's generally oversight, making sure that we're touching base again with people. I really believe and subscribe to the concept of servant leadership and really flipping the org chart, right? I try to coach my leaders underneath me to understand that we are the bottom. I represent the bottom of the org chart,
I
and
like that.
everybody, and
Flip
I'm
the
here
org chart. I like it.
exactly. I
I like it.
exist to support my vice presidents, who exist to support their directors and their regionals, and it goes onward and upward all the way to the front line. The folks that are, like we like to say, in the trenches, getting bloody every day. Um,
Yeah.
it's
And
really
just to give
it's a
everyone
support system.
I love that. And just to give everyone a flavor, am I right in remembering when we first chatted, Victor, you got about 160 people in your wider team that you're responsible for. Is that about right?
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, and you have a number of layers of management, but your philosophy of servant leader is you flip that.
Yeah.
And the people in the field, if I understand your business well, you're actually delivering luxury goods, a diverse portfolio that you're delivering.
Sure.
But it means that delivery drivers are doing more than just getting something from A to B. They're providing a service, a customer service as well in that
Mhm.
journey. Is that right? Would that be a right call?
Yeah, so our delivery teams and contracted delivery work, they're responsible. They're the face. They're the last uh, the last face that an end user or consumer sees. We represent the retail brand for whatever retailer it is or manufacturer it is that we're delivering for. So when you think about the last time you bought an appliance or a large TV or a bed, um, you waited. Especially we all lived through COVID, right? And the pandemic. We were coaching teams that, hey, this is what you do. You may have 15 or 16 orders on your truck today that you've got to deliver. And that to you, that's just customer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But Mrs. Jones has been waiting 8 weeks or 10 weeks for her new couch or for her new bed
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever it is. And you really have to understand that it's a special day. And there's a lot of anxiety built up for a consumer when you've got two strangers that are coming into your house. So we do a lot of coaching and development and conversating with our local frontline leadership to make sure that the contractors and the delivery teams mind their P's and Q's. They look professional. They're calling and doing the steps that we need to have to ensure that customer service, because that's what makes or breaks you as a consumer, or anybody as a consumer going back to that retailer and buying again, right? It's all about lifetime value of a consumer. At the end of the day, we want to have repeat business for our customers. We want them to keep tendering loads to us to put our trucks on the road, which means people have to continue to buy goods.
Yeah, and I love that because what triggered in my head is exactly what you described. When I receive a fairly large order, new couch,
Mhm.
I actually do in my head wrongly think the delivery drivers are actually representing the brand that I have bought. And of course they are. To your point, they are, but they're
Right.
not directly reporting into that business. So how do you help someone who might have started the job as a delivery driver thinking my job is on time in full?
Mhm.
Drive smartly, drive safely, and get the product in that delivery window. I've done my job. How do you help them to also have the customer service skills? I think it's called white glove, isn't it? It's like, how you deliver it is as important as what you deliver in that sense. How do you help them? How do you help them be great drivers and also great at customer service?
A lot of it really goes to, because a lot of our delivery teams, all of our delivery teams are contracted. We deal with other business owners and we're coaching business owners to manage their employees, right? So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
how do you protect yourself? You take the idea of, when you show up to the house and you introduce yourself, you say, "Hey, I'm Mr. Jones, and I'm here with your delivery today. And we'd like to please walk me through your house to show me where you want the piece to go." And at that same time, you're looking for opportunities for a failure to happen. A drive team may look and say, "Ma'am, do you mind removing the pictures off the wall just in case we happen to brush up against? I don't want anything to fall and get broken." And being proactive and really,
Yeah.
walking that path, recognizing what needs to happen. Man, hey, this is a great, we're bringing a bed into your guest bedroom. What are we doing today with the bed that's already there? Are we removing it for you and hauling it away? Would you like it put into another room so you can continue utilizing it? Whatever it might be, and really creating that engagement and conversation with the customer. Because at the same time, we have X number of minutes scheduled to get that delivery done as well.
There's the
So
balance, isn't
while
it? There's the
right,
balance.
while the driver may be speaking with the customer, the helper's in the back of the truck prepping the product, getting all the packaging, clear off and ready so it's presentable and ready to go, looking at it and making sure, hey, there's no excuse me, there's no damage on it and things along those lines.
Really cool. So you've been with the business 7 years now, and the last four in this wonderfully large role of chief operating officer in terms of many hats to wear. Your business has grown organically, and how have you done that? Because it's a competitive market. It's an economic situation which is not easy for everybody. How have you managed to grow your organic business the way you have? Because that's a consistent, sustained growth pattern, isn't it?
Again, everything goes back to people. It's about relationships. We spend an inordinate amount of time and care with building relationships with folks to make sure that not only are we doing what we promised, but we're doing it well. And we really make it we make a case and then we live up to it. And that's where our sales team will go in and engage a customer, and we partner with the operators, the local folks that are going to be there. We at all layers we have synergy where, it's not just the executive teams talking and making an economic decision and a relationship decision at a senior level. um, the local management have weekly and regular daily and weekly meetings to talk about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. What happened yesterday? How are we fixing it today? And what are we going to go forward with tomorrow? And what process changes do we need to implement? And we do that at all levels, whether it be the frontline supervisor to the regional directors with all of our retailers. So it's really maintaining close synergy and focusing in on people and relationship management.
Yeah, and good for you. We're going to delve into that even more as we go through this discussion, Victor, if you can. I'd love to just ask the question that's sort of front of mind in terms of how do you measure from the specific KPIs, I guess, the metrics of your business. What are the measures you really value in terms of more than just we're growing? Obviously, as a business, you are growing in terms of dollars made, but what are the other metrics that you care about as the chief operating officer?
I look at our capacity management, making sure that we have the available capacity to serve the customer's needs. I look at the performance of those individuals, and the performance of the team. So not only from a on-time performance or um, damage ratios, how many, what
Mm,
their efficiency metrics and things are, how, well, what their speed to service and all is. But really, it all boils into as well, what's their net promoter score? When the survey
yeah.
systems come out, and consumers don't, there's an education process there because consumers, let's just face it, you and me as a consumer, everywhere you go, you're getting a survey.
Yes.
Everywhere you go. And so understanding as a consumer and trying to insert language with the drive teams to say, hey, you're going to get a survey. I know you get 1,000 of them a day, but really, you know, what else is it that we strive for excellence, or we strive to earn that 10? What else can we do today to earn that 10? And really just make sure that we're leaving an impression on the end consumer to make sure that, hey, not everything's gonna go perfect every time. We all know that. It can't, right? Um, but what do we do? What steps do we take to make sure that the end consumer is satisfied to the best of our ability? And when things go wrong, how do we recover? How do we make sure that communication happens proactively and timely to make sure that happens? And it has to happen not only with the consumer, but it has to happen backward and through the channels and through the retailers, because a lot of times our hands are tied as the middleman to make the fix happen.
So you have a lot of metrics, which isn't just about inventory management and
Mhm.
efficiency. It's about how you're serving the customer, which you've already shared
Correct.
with us. Really cool. I'm going to ask you to take a step back now about your business because since we've been talking, been following your business, and there's so many things about it that impresses me. From where you are now as a business, there's big aspiration, which you've shared with me separately. How would you describe the vision for the business now? Where are you going to get to in the next 3 to 5 years? If we use that as a horizon for what's your vision?
I think, from a vision perspective and what we're striving for, it's really, there's always the financial and economic metrics. We're trying to grow, we're trying to grow, we're trying to grow. If I had to put a number on it, I would say 3 to 5 year plan is somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 350 to $500 million run rate. Um,
Fantastic.
which is growth. I'd like to be I'd like to continue to grow and capture the rest of the states in the United States. There's goals that are out there, right? Um, but really, personally, I think the vision as we grow and get bigger and things along those lines, and I think this is one of the reasons why we're strong is the buy-in from our team is really what's our impact. You know, this industry is here and it's here to stay and it's constantly evolving. And when I look at the demographics of our staff and who's coming up in the organization, I look at them as the future leaders, the people that are going to be sitting in my seat in 10 years, 5, 10, 15 years. So measurable impact to say when I'm done, when we're ready to move on to the next step or to move on how did I develop folks? How did our team develop folks? Are they ready to take that next step? We put a lot of time into looking at what's the life cycle for a frontline employee? And just to give you an example of that, in the 7 years that I've been here in this organization, the average lifespan of a frontline employee was 8 to 11 months.
Wow.
And we've extended that now to 36 months.
Wow, I was going to say, yeah, less than a year is not cool, is it? You just put all the
You're
investment
constantly in
in.
a training cycle.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, crazy, crazy.
Um, and I'm really, really proud of the fact that our team has built a model where the organization we can show career path, we can show growth. We do annual individual development plans to really coach and mentor, develop our people so that they can take the next step. It
That's
has to
good.
happen.
Yeah, it's good. And talk to me about career, because when we first spoke, you said that there's also a career process where yes, they might be front line for 3 years, but then there's opportunity to have other roles. How do you do career management in diverse logistics?
So twice a year we go through what's the 9 box process where we do a performance management. We'll put out individual development plans based off of that first 9 box of the year. We
And nine
measure
box,
it
just for everyone who's not heard of it, that's a measure of performance and potential. It's the balance of those two things.
exactly. Thank you for clarifying. the So we measure, boxes gained, if you will.
Yeah,
When we look at it at the beginning of the year, we as a leadership team sit down and through our one with one process, and we go through and we say this person has expressed, we really think this person can grow. What do we need to do from a development plan perspective to really encourage them and get them over the finish line? And then it's really awesome to see at the end of the year when we 9 box the same group again to see how their boxes have changed and where they've grown, and as we get different leaders inputs and things. Um, and then we also see the folks that, unfortunately they get promoted to customer because it's just not a good fit. And we determine through that process that this isn't the right place for them. And that's not bad. That's not a bad thing. um, we all want to see everybody succeed, but sometimes we're not the best place for somebody to succeed.
yeah. So that's great. So I mean, I'm getting this lovely flavor because when I was first in business and I was a salesperson, I was selling beers, wines, and spirits, and we had to deliver them. And I remember, and we're talking 1980s now, so I'm a bit of a dinosaur. But the logistics we had were very good at delivering on time in full, reasonably good,
Mhm.
despite the fact we were talking city centers, crazy busy, tough to plan ahead for traffic jams.
Right,
But what they had was, or they didn't have, was any kind of perspective that customer service was part of the deal, right?
right.
So half of my job was kind of placating customers that said, "Yeah, they just dumped it on our forecourt and didn't put it in the back," and so it was just transactional and efficient, transactional, but none of this white glove service and making
Right.
customers feel good and checking with them beforehand. What's the delivery area like? Are you comfortable with this? So what you do, and this is why I'm so pleased you're on this podcast. What you do as a business is fundamentally not that. It's the whole experience matters, not just the right product at the right time. And that for me is the point of difference that you bring, I think. And how do you mobilize new staff? So you bring someone on that might be a great driver as an example. How do you mobilize them to see the diverse logistics way that it's just we do it different here? What's the beginning like when you first joined the business?
We have we call it our flight plan. They go through their employee onboarding process. They meet with different layers of management, different directors, different vice presidents, different departments, so they understand and kind of get a feel for who does what and why. And then we really spend a lot of time focusing on what we call our 3 Cs. It's kind of it's our core value set, right? It's our customer service, it's our capacity, and it's our compliance.
Mm,
Those 3 Cs. And from day one, when they receive their first employee letter, they get a letter from me as part of their handbook and their we call it the doc Bible, if you will. It's a big manual of, hey, this is all the steps and SOPs and everything along those lines. But I make it very clear in person and in writing that our 3 Cs are paramount. Um, an employee is never wrong as long as they're making a decision with one of our three C's in mind. They're trying to satisfy a customer, make sure we have capacity, and making sure that it's compliant. Compliance is so huge when we're entering into people's homes, having the right people, knowing who those people are, and things along those lines, and not just sending any willy nilly guy that you found on the side of the road out on a truck. Right, that's huge in our industry, just from a risk perspective. But those three C's is the foundation of our culture. Our CEO drafted our mission statement 20 some odd years ago when he founded the company. And he also put a huge onus on trusting but verifying, the old Reagan trust but verify.
Yes.
And it's
Yep.
very, very important that we do. We extend a measure of trust to everyone, but it's also ingrained in our culture that everybody understands that there's always going to be somebody that just says, "Hey, I'm going to verify what you told me, or I'm going to go behind you and make sure it's right." There's always a second check. One more check, and then okay, over the fence. It's important that it's not a negative. It's not micromanagement. It's, hey, this is just making sure that we're making sure we're dotting all of our I's, crossing all of our T's, and doing everything that we can. And that's why we grow. We're growing, and it's a beautiful thing. But it's a controlled and measured growth instead of turning on the spigot and then nobody's ready. And that's when failure happens. Is when you grow too fast.
What really triggered me listening to you, Victor, this idea that the three C's are critical, and as long as you're making decisions with those three things in mind at any level within the organization, we will back you. So that is a lovely example of empowerment.
Yeah,
Within a parameter, right?
sure. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say there's not an opportunity where we say, "Hey, I get where you were going with that, but we should probably look at it this from the next time from a different perspective." And there's coaching that happens, especially when folks are new, right? But
yeah.
they're not wrong if they really are able to achieve those three C's. They're never wrong, and that's a
Yeah, and
good thing,
I love this, Victor, because this is exactly what this podcast is about. It's called Who's Your Captain? And of course,
right?
you're the captain, you're the chief, literally
Yep.
by name as well as by role. But actually, what you're looking to create is 165 captains, whereby each individual feels ownership and empowered to make decisions in the moment, which frankly they've got to do when they're out there. Uh, and
But
that
it
they
takes
are the
time,
captain in that moment, right? They're
and
the captain.
they are, and it takes time. There as a new person coming into the company at any level, there's a time where your leadership has to direct you to do things. And then once we're comfortable with, hey, you understand the direction, whether how small or large that direction might be, you move into that delegating that process of delegation where now I trust you enough that I can delegate a task to you, or I can delegate processes to you and understand that and trust that you understand how to get it done. But delegation doesn't mean we don't verify and make sure we follow up and follow through. And then once we're comfortable as a leadership team that you're capable to be delegated to, then we take that next step forward and say that's when you see the folks really take the next step in their career, if you will, where they'll move from an entry level into a senior level or to a regional or an area or city manager type of level where they have the representative responsibility over multiple markets or multiple customers or multiple locations, and they have that empowerment because we understand and trust. Hey, they've done their time. We don't need to direct it. We don't need to tell them every single step of the way. We don't have to follow up on every single thing we ask them to do. We can truly believe that they're making decisions and doing things. Um,
Yeah, do you know what's
and
yeah.
it's a good process and growth for people.
No, I like it. I love the rigor of it. I really do. And it triggered my memory. I work with a tour company, a bus tour company, which is based in
Mhm.
another great Floridian city down in Miami. And we were training the drivers, almost replicating what you're talking about. Don't just drive smoothly on the tour, stopping at the right point for photographs. Bring customer service. And to start with, we used what we called a mystery shopper. So to check, to put rigor in the journey, we would have a mystery shopper just doing the tour and saying, how was the customer service from the driver?
Uh-huh.
And I was mystery shopping on one of the tours, and the driver, who was called Todd, I'll never forget it. Todd comes on the speaker as he comes to the end of the tour and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, we love to get feedback. Please use TripAdvisor. If you believe I've driven in a smooth and an appropriate way, my name is Todd. If you think I've been awful, I'm Stephen, and make sure you use that name." It was really cool.
It's
And I
awesome.
just, my memory was triggered
Yeah.
by that. Now,
And we have a similar type audit process where our leadership teams, we do unannounced audits and unannounced visits
oh,
and
yeah.
things along those lines because everybody should be show ready at any given time. You never know when a client's going to walk on a location. You never know when our CEO can drop in at a moment's notice with nobody knows he's coming. So
Yeah, it's great.
being show ready and being able to make decisions, because if it's never if things are going well, things look the same all the time, docks are
Yeah,
swept,
yeah.
and it's little things. It's the little things we look for. It's, hey, did we, is your location clean and tidy? Are your trucks well maintained and not, dirty and nasty? And, because a clean truck, let's just face it, Mrs. Jones, when you pull up to the house, Mrs. Jones goes and looks in the back of the truck. If it's crazy mess in there, she's immediately got doubt in her mind. But if it's neat, organized, clean, stacked, marked, everything's ready to go, she goes, well, these guys are efficient, proficient, ready to run. And
So
it really means a lot.
I'd love to talk to you about how do you develop soft skills. So the customer service side is what I would call soft skills. And I think the term is terrible, actually, because I think they're hard skills.
They're very
Managing an
hard
upset
skills.
customer is hard skill. Why are you late? That's not the product I wanted. I'm not happy. That's a real skill to manage that. How do you give anyone in your team, all levels, how do you give soft skill development? What's the way you do that? How do you train
I
and
mean,
develop people in that sense?
a lot of it is really early on, with training, when you're with your mentor, you're with your coach, being able to being able to say and trust that, hey, I don't know is an okay example, as long as you follow up and follow through to make sure that the answer gets, whatever happens, happens. Out on the road, I like to use the straw man. We coach our drivers to use the straw man and say, when a customer's upset, it's, hey, ma'am, I would love to take care of everything you need and make this right for you or move, take, like, well, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say, customer wants you to move. We're bringing a piece of furniture into the house, and the customer wants you to move another piece of furniture to another piece of the house. Well, or another part of the house, and that's not part of the protocol. That's not what we're supposed to do. The service level that we were getting sent out to do on the order is for X. You're asking us to do Y. We coach to say, ma'am, uh, yes, I want to take care of that for you. That's going to take me some extra time. Let me call into my dispatcher and get it
Oh,
approved
yeah.
before I do it. And now the driver didn't say no. The driver said, yes, I want to handle it for you. But if the guy doesn't have the time or it's something that we're not supposed to be doing, now the straw man, the manager, or the retailer, whoever the customer service person is on the other end of the phone says, no, ma'am, I'm sorry, we can't do this, but we can schedule it, or if that's something you want to have happen, and so it's really about not making sure everybody has the full set of soft skills because there's just so many. Um,
Yeah,
you
so
can
true.
train and coach full time, and you're never going to get it perfect. You're never going to get it right. But knowing that everybody has the straw man available, hey, let me phone a friend and how to
Yeah.
navigate that language has really saved us in a lot of times.
Yeah, no, I love this in a number of different ways because it's actually on the job as well, isn't it? That's the point. You've given people responsibility to have the checklist and say, right, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, and also lots of feedback, lots of coaching and support where appropriate. And is there formal training? So do I get taken off the day job and put in a classroom to practice those skills, or is it much more on the job coaching?
No, it's typically a lot of on the job. So those first couple of weeks, a regional director would be on a dock, or a vice president or somebody like myself would be out on location with folks, um, because there's so many different aspects of the business that need to be taught, not only from a process improvement or just process driven. You have to understand and know what our processes and systems are, but then the conversations with the retailer, or the conversation with the contractor, the conversation with the driver or the helper, the conversation with a coworker, that all gets modeled. A lot of, or in the early days, a lot of that is modeling. And so, hey, you've not seen this, understanding as a leader, they've not seen that situation. So, understand how I'm doing it and following up and
Yeah, let
saying,
me
do you understand?
yeah, yeah, I get it.
Show
I
me,
get it.
what is it? What's the old saying? I'm drawing a blank on it. Show me, um, tell me, show me, teach me. Right.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
going to tell you how
exactly.
to do
Yeah.
it. Then I'm going to show you how to do it. And then I'm going to have you do it and show and teach me how to do it.
I think that's massive. And my core competence and my business is all about education. And what you just described, the show me bit, is often missing. I'm a leader, I'm a regional director, I'm out with you for the day. I see you doing something wrong. I say, I'll tell you what, stop doing that, start doing this. If I don't show you that, and particularly a soft skill,
Mhm.
I can't just apply intellect into new behavior. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So if you're going to, how do you handle an irate customer? The next one we get on today's route, I'm going to handle watch me. And then afterwards, let's debrief what I did. What did I model? How did I
Right.
say it? And how did I calm that customer down? In fact, leave them more satisfied than they were at the start. Without the show me, no chance are you going to get a full understanding of what great looks like. No chance.
And there's a lot of
So,
consistent role playing that happens in that same line as well, where let's just say on a dock, you've got 20 different delivery teams. So you have 40 people there in the
yeah,
morning for a loadout, and you call a meeting, and we're talking about a particular soft skill. Well, I know that this one driver, Javier, is really good at that particular soft skill. Hey, role play with me in front of everybody so we
that's
can show them
fantastic.
how to do it. They can hear the
Absolutely
language, they
spot
can
on.
understand the tone, because you could say words, and if your tone's wrong, you ruin the soft skill experience as well.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's fantastic, by the way, and a great example. I'm just gonna do something which I love to do on these podcasts, Victor. When I'm interviewing someone like yourself, I go to ChatGPT and I say, "What makes Victor Mraz special?" Right?
Oh boy.
And I'm going to read it back to you and get first of all get your reaction to it. So it says, "What are the top three things that make you special?" This is kind of fun, right? So this is AI talking. First of all, hands-on leader. And it tells a bit more about that. It says you're not just someone that says to people what to do, you do well, it's kind of modeling, is what you've just said. Hands-on model leader, calm authority under pressure. You'll have to confirm whether that's right. And leads growth in several industries. Now, I don't know whether that comment is accurate, whether it's different industries or different companies. So, hands-on leader,
Mhm.
calm authority under pressure, leads growth. How does that sound to you as a
I
leader?
I mean, how am I gonna disagree with that? I mean, that's
It's good, isn't it?
it's
It's
pretty.
good.
I wouldn't have come up with that on my own.
I like it though. It's really fun. So, tell me a bit more then, if it's right, hands-on leader. How does I think the easiest way to describe this or ask the question is on a typical day, and there's never a typical day, but you are strategically leading, you are role modeling, but
Mhm.
you're also to an extent hands on. So give me a flavor, and I think it's unfair to say typical day, of a day in the life of a COO in the industry you're in. Give me a flavor.
Ooh, um, a day in the life, a typical day. Well, like you said, there's no such thing as a typical day. It's one of the things I love about my job is it's always different. But I live and die by my calendar. It's a lesson I learned 25 some odd years ago in another life in another company, and everything along those lines. So I use a lot of AI tools to task manage my week, block and tackle in my calendar, and make sure that if it's on my calendar, and my wife, my children, everybody knows if it's on my calendar, it happens. If it's not on my calendar, you can't hold me accountable to it. So
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe
it's
not.
just the way
Yeah.
that it works, right?
Yeah.
So I try to every day, with having 160 something folks in the company. I try to have one-on-one conversations as frequently as I can. My mornings typically are, I'll take my time on my drive in, and I'll have conversations with an employee or two if there's time, depending on what traffic looks like. Then you get into your day, and it's prioritizing tasks. If it's a travel day, which typically that most of my weeks are travel days. I really believe that the field and the company um, has a they have a I don't want to say a duty. That's the wrong word. I have a duty, I guess is the way that I should say this, to be in front of my folks. So I'm not just some guy on the side, in the looking glass, looking in on a Teams call. They see me. I get out on their locations. They get to know me. They have the opportunity to talk to me one to one. So I travel quite a bit. Um, I have a flight here this afternoon that I'm getting ready to go to after we're done here. But so I when it comes to being what the day looks like, it's really what's coming at me, what's my priorities for the day, um, what really needs to be addressed from a people process and vision perspective, right?
Oh, yeah,
Um,
cool.
I really, I subscribe, not fully, but I do subscribe to the method of really delegating out things that are not only things that I can do, because that's where I'm going to maximize my value, right? um, I'll have meetings with my leadership team. We talk through different things, and I'm not a hey, we have a Tuesday afternoon meeting that's standing, and that's when me and my leadership team meet. I You can ask my vice presidents. Uh,
More
I
flexible
probably
than that.
Yeah, I have 3, 4 meetings with them a day because we have to work through the flowing what's happening in the business, with the multitude of big box retailers that we represent. There's always something fluid, always something happening, always something changing. What do we need to do? How do we need to pivot? How do we proactively fix things? How do we proactively change? How do we recognize, hey, this is something that's going on. What are we going to tweak to make sure that it's to our advantage or to our benefit? And that runs my day. It's really um, making sure, again, task management. My Sunday is probably my most important day of the week,
Because you're scheduling the week ahead.
because I literally, I run through my AI tools. And I go through my tasks and book my calendar out, and really, and not to say that things don't move. I prioritize my tasks so the AI will automatically move things around and schedule things as needed. So if you know, my CEO throws a meeting on my calendar that I have to prioritize, the calendar automatically adjusts my tasks around that because it recognizes that he's a higher priority than other things. If my
So does
board
AI
schedules a
help
thing,
that? Does
yes,
AI help that? Do you know what I mean? Is that an automatic thing?
yes.
It knows your priorities and therefore it can reschedule
When
on your
I
behalf?
when I when I build a task in, I give it a priority level.
God, that's so cool.
And that it automatically, as I give it deadlines, it'll break it up into 30-minute set. So let's just say I'm getting prepped for a board deck. I've got a board meeting coming up, or I have an executive leadership team meeting coming up, and I've got to prep my section of the deck. Let's just,
Yeah.
just a,
Yeah.
a mundane task that I have to do. Um, I'll block 8 hours, say, over the course of 5 weeks, and I'll tell it this is low priority to start, and put it in 20-minute or 25
Increasing
minute.
priority.
And then as we get near the deadline,
Smart.
it automatically prioritizes that I haven't checked off the enough of the buckets, and it starts to bundle them and block out more and more time in my day to make sure that nothing moves around that. It's
It's
pretty
greatness
interesting.
because, yeah, I'm a note to self, look into that.
Yeah.
I love that because I'm a Franklin Covey guy, Victor, in terms of
Uh-huh.
that. The whole principle of prioritize is in there, but it's more manual than AI driven at the moment. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I could take a leaf out of your book there beautifully. I've got a couple of more big questions for you. One is, we've got a really great flavor for your business and for the vision and the values that drive it, the 3 Cs, the
Mhm.
wonderful people focus that Diverse Logistics has. Admirable, brilliant, and smart. What is the next big milestone? And it's a classic project management question, really. It's the next big step forward, change. What's the big milestone that you're focused on next for the business?
For me personally, and I'm gonna answer this question personally
Yeah,
because
please
I
do.
think that I think the company wraps around what my next personal milestone really is. And that is, it's twofold. Um, One, and it's twofold. It's a twofold answer in one word, and that's my legacy. Um, the work we're doing to develop people, which we talked about a little bit before, and
Yeah.
really creating the next batch of future leaders in this industry is I'm super proud of. Um, I can't speak so more highly of that. The team and the leadership team that we built, and we're really all driving towards that growth and development and the future leadership of the industry. But I'm shifting attention a little bit to through some of the associations that we have, things along those lines, and some of the policies and some of the things in the industry. When you think of the word industry standard, that term of this is an industry standard, I really want to, that's my next big vision and milestone is to make that stamp where somebody's talking about me in 20 years and maybe I get called in out of retirement for an award because I made my mark on the industry in this policy or in that, that's kind of where I want to get to. That's the next step milestone wise for me is doesn't matter what roles look like. It doesn't matter, if I stay the COO of diverse or if I become the janitor of diverse, I want to leave that legacy. I want to leave that's the next step for me.
Very commendable. And the final big question, it's a big one. I started this discussion, Victor, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, by saying what you're great at is what I don't do. So I'm a sales and marketing guy, and everything else that a business needs, you do, right? And so it's great. It's inspiring stuff, and it's great learning for me. If anyone listening is just about to take a COO role, which is
Mhm.
as broad as yours, because you cover finance and HR and risk, as well as logistics and operations. What top tips would you give people who aspire to being a great COO?
I would say that a successful COO has a CEO that is exactly opposite of them and vice versa, right? A successful
Great double
CEO,
act. Great double act.
you have to have yin and yang. Um, that's number one. Number two, I would say never be afraid of hiring somebody better than you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Recognize your own fault. Be very, very humble and self-aware and understand that you can't do it all yourself and you have to build a team. And why would you not hire somebody better than you? I see it too often in too many industries, not even in our own industry, but just in companies all across the world where people will hire somebody to do a role and they hire somebody who's weak intentionally so they can't threaten them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
being humble enough to recognize that person's better at this than I am. I'm going to pay them to do it,
yeah,
and
right. That's the
I'll
way
go
it should
back
be.
to, something my oldest son told me one time. He said, Dad, you know, I know that you know how to hang a ceiling fan or paint a wall. You know how to do things around the house. He said, but I've seen you do them. Why do you not why don't you do them anymore? Why do you hire other people to do things for you? And I said, son, uh, time is money and is very valuable. But number two, the good Lord has blessed me with the ability to do what I do best so that I can afford to pay other people to do what they do best. And that
Yeah,
applies in
so
all
so good.
aspects of my life, personally and business wise. Find the best person to do a task and bring them in. Find the talent, bring them in. They're just going to make you stronger.
Well, what a fantastic way to conclude our discussion. Captain Victor Mraz, we salute you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad to be here.